Is it on?
It is on. Hello,
It's
everyone.
on. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Tea Time Ascension Talk. Welcome to our tea time.
Welcome.
Back from our beautiful little sacred space. We're so excited to connect with you all from our home after a week being back in the US. And here we are on November 1st, All Saints Day, Day of the Dead,
Días de Muertos.
Dies de Muertos. And this triple 111 day. It's so beautiful. It's so amazing. And it happened to be 2019, you know, and that's another 3 together. So it's a powerful power day. How you all doing? Who's watching? Dropping in? We see somebody's on. Say hello to us. Let us know where you are visiting from. Where are you joining us from? As finally, Michael and I have an opportunity to do our video catch up with what we wanted to share all week last week. Well, since last week we came back with the third portion of our video with what took place in Delphi, Acropolis, Naxos, and Paros. And then here in the US, as we get ready for 11/11, 12/21, and the end of the year, end of this decade. There's just so much. So we'll just get started. But I think the cookies. I gotta grab the cookies.
I was wondering what was burning.
No, it's the cookies. I don't know if they're done though. So we made these cookies last night, these organic cookies. And I just felt like with our team, we wanted to have it. So what tea are you drinking? So we have our French press today. And let me just show you. It's got turmeric, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of cayenne, goji berries, ginger, maple syrup. It's like a huge mix in here. All kinds of deliciousness. So what are you all drinking? Welcome. Let me just make sure also here they're not joining us here. Nope, they are here. So let me see. One moment. Let me just post this here so they know where to. Oops. One moment. There you go. So.
Cookies are still cooking.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we'll smell them before we burn them.
Okay.
So where shall we begin? There's so much to share.
We
wait for everybody else to join in, so we start.
Yeah. So we last left off in Milos. We finished that video. I feel the
No. We did another one. Was it Milos?
Because we didn't speak about after Milos. We didn't talk about.
Oh,
Athens.
from Milos we were going to Athens.
Yeah,
okay, so let's pick that up. Or should we start with where we are at right now? And then journey back.
Yeah, probably now. Yeah.
So let's start with last night. So happy Halloween.
Yes.
So last night, my sons were spending the night. So in the morning, it was going to be a really rainy, windy, thunderstorm day. So, we're still, Michael and I are still adjusting. And we were trying to decide what we're going to do with my sons. So they're 19 and 16 for those of you that don't know. And they were spending night. Thursday nights, they usually spend the night. We have dinner, we catch up, we go over everything. So in the morning.
And originally, I wanted to do something special for Halloween. Just with Honey and I had a plan, but I totally forgot about it was Halloween night, and it was the same night that her children came through.
Right.
So yesterday morning, it was amazing because waking up, it was like, okay, it's Halloween. This is a fun time to really just really celebrate it, because it's a day to really honor. And I just remember so many years of just getting dressed up, doing spooky things, doing scary things. So immediately, when I told Honey, I was like, listen, if your children come over, let's do something fun for them. Let's do something different. Yeah. So I had the idea of bringing the Ouija board out, and how fun would it be to, bring that experience to them and have us, the four of us, really take part in something very sacred and very magical on a day that we knew was going to be rainy, was going to be windy, was going to be, most events were going to be canceled that night just because we had to honor what was happening outside. So I called my mom on that morning to have her come down to meet lunch, and she has this 1972-year-old original Parker
That's
Brothers.
when I was born.
Yeah,
47-year-old
board that for all you Ubia collectors, like $1,000 board that was brought down, and it was just amazing because
where is it, by the way?
It's right there.
Okay.
So it was amazing because for those that are watching, I know, and even when I put
original. The first edition Ouija board.
So when I posted this morning, it's interesting because there seems to be this reputation or this old image of this Ouija board has done a lot of bad things, which we know when not using it in the proper realms, when taking advantage of it, or just not coming from a very respected, mature, safe, guided approach. Then obviously any portal that you're diving into can bring other spirits. And I feel that because there seems to be this taboo, negative spirits, but because there seems to be this taboo about spirit world, and before spirituality and the mainstream started to bring out the positives, there always seems to be about this possession and demons and darkness coming through, which of course in any realm anything can come out if you're not coming from the highest grace, the highest protection, and the highest good of all. And so it was interesting as when.
So let's say what happened. So when you say that to me, I was like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. It's Halloween. So when they come, I texted my older son and I said, listen, we're going to have a little surprise for you, but I don't want your brother to know, because the minute we mention surprise, he's not going to want to participate at all. So he said, when you come, we'll do something. So they came, made dinner, make sure they were fed. Then I said to Michael, I said, okay, Michael and I have a surprise for you. And they looked at us, said, okay, but it's Halloween related. You can guess. They couldn't guess what exactly it was. And then we said, but we're going to blindfold you. So, and Michael and I decided to kind of bring a little bit of a spookiness about it.
Let's dress up. Let's dress up.
Yeah, some Halloween about it. Or like Halloween related, and because they think they're so tough anyway. So we blindfolded them and we had them. We said, you have 5 minutes to just sit in the room in quietness, because your eyes have to get dark enough and get comfortable. So I don't know what was going through them. So Michael and I quickly, right here, we set up like a diamond shape. Like a parameter with crystals and candles. We put the Ouija board in the center, and I haven't touched that since I was 9 years old. It's been so many years. And I went, got my robe. Michael got dressed up, and so we kind of wanted to play this mysterious part in it. And along the other side of it was just for my sons to experience what it's like to contact spirit world with such reverence and grace, and really just teach them there is nothing to fear. Love attracts love. Fear attracts fear. Simple. So the vibration you go into will be the vibration that you're interacting with. And of course, Ouija board has gotten such a rap through the media, through the whatever, YouTube, all of that, because that Ouija board, oracle cards, anything like that, because it's a medium that allows to have contact, and wherever there's power, it has to be fear to make sure you don't touch it, especially with the religious beliefs and what have you. So we wanted to sort of have my sons have a different experience with it. So anyway, it was so cute. We set it up, we turned off all the lights, we put the other light with the stars up. And Michael and I went, we grabbed their hands. We're like, we are ready for your initiation.
I knocked like 3 times. Don't. And we really played it up. So we could, feel the joy and the excitement of really initiating to something that we were like, well, we'll see what happens. We had no expectation.
Well, we weren't sure. We just wanted them to see their experience.
But before anything happened, we both spoke about this. Like, we didn't know what the reaction was
We
going to
had
be.
no idea.
And we had no expectation, though,
Yeah.
and no force. It wasn't like we're going to do this. We're just going to see what happens. And it was just interesting as it came forward, because when
So wait, so let's just go through it. So they opened their blindfolds. We stood there and they looked and they're like, hell no. Oh no, oh man, oh mom, Michael, what are you doing? They're like, and Kira's like, oh Jesus, no, and they both walked around like, like how teenagers do.
Yeah.
He's like, they're like, mom, are you serious? With anybody else, okay, but it's you. You're a medium. No freaking way. So that initial reaction was priceless. And then they're like, suddenly this excitement, yet this fear.
It was kind of like that edge of where you're on a roller coaster and you're excited and you're like, oh, but there's this pullingness where they want, where it's captivating them. And it was funny because as they were going through their teenage reaction, we could see that it wasn't a complete no. It was
it wasn't no at all. They were curious. They were just like, but they're used to this. They know, like I exposed them to so many things. They're like, oh my God, here, mom again. So, but it was so cute to see that. And we grabbed their hand. We like, come on, and we sort of like, we are going to initiate you. We really played it up too.
So they really
we set them in for.
So they, which was surprising to us and really surprising to me, is I was surprised they didn't resist it.
They didn't say we're not going to do it.
They said they just said, okay, we'll do it, but mom, don't go on any voice. Don't like they were like putting up their parameters because they want to.
Yeah, they're like, mommy, listen, don't go to those other don't just let it just be spirit.
So what I really appreciate about that is they were open, they were curious, and most important, they were willing as teenagers, because I feel when we presented to them, we were coming from a safe place that we're going to show them this, and we're going to do this in the highest level of light.
Yeah, but that was the thing, because they've seen so much about all it is their fear. So before we began, we held each other's hands, and it was first education. Like, this is a medium that you make contact. We're always very respectful with the spirit realm and the higher realm. So we come with respect. We come with our light. My kids know about hi, Demetris, so much love.
How you doing, dear brother?
Good to see you. And for us, they know how to put the white light around them. They know how to have the angels around them. So we said we show up with respect. We open, we close. So part of it was more education. If they're ever in this situation, they know what to do themselves. So it's part of like empowering them and to know there isn't anything to fear. And I also shared with them, I was like, if you have any negative thoughts, that's what you're going to attract. There's no reason. They're spirit, they're beautiful ones, and you have the high sunshine. You have the ability to communicate with other ones, like even your loved ones. So that was very important.
And I think what's very important is anytime we're, modeling a behavior that shows them that they can trust, because the whole time when we went into this, we were coming from a positive experience, an enlightening experience, in a period where they could see through our element of joy, excitement, trust, and not an ounce of fear, even in our, childhood.
But even we set it up like dark, lights, and the window was open. The winds were going like this. The ambiance was perfect for Halloween.
It was funny because Kean was like,
perfect.
Kean's like, we got to go shut the door. And so he's going to shut. He's like, no, we got to keep it open because we knew the heat was going to increase in our
energy.
And it was fun because I really feel that when we can set the scene and when we can really just go in our pureness, and for them to understand this is for us something that we do without the Ouija board. We have connections. We go into our prayers. We go into our meditations. We're both mediums in ways that we can contact the spirit realm. So to take that initiate for them and have a little fun, but bring the education, which
the education was very important.
The parameters, the safety, the awareness, and just the purity of knowing when we're doing it for the highest light of all. When we call the golden pyramid of light, place the parameters, call upon the angels, call upon the ascended masters. The one thing that I'm going to do later on a live stream is just to really acknowledge that there is a spirit realm that when we place that parameter, when we place these extreme levels of protection, not from, oh my gosh, someone's going to come in, but just from the light of our hearts, then we are fully guided to bring forth the most amazing experiences before us, let alone the highest energies that want to interact with us. So we
So it was
appreciate
really
it.
fun. So again, so Demetris and Sunshine, as you're joining in, this is regarding the Ouija board last night with my sons, having them have their first experience. It was so
I don't
cool.
know, Sunshine Love.
So-
I mean, obviously, this is something back from the 70s, but I don't know if you've ever experienced the Ouija board, or Demetrius, if you've ever had the Ouija board. But previously, I know that Honey and I have had experiences in our childhood,
Yeah.
and and I grew up watching horror movies, and it was always like that. So we did it with my friends, and it was always like, "Are you moving it? Are you moving it?" And like, I feel like we would start it, but then we would scare each other so much that we would stop immediately, because we didn't want to bring in, because the whole fear really is about bringing a negative spirit, possessions. And when you look at
or
the
being
old
also
movies,
out of control. Like I remember, the movies are always so fear-based. And but remember, my son said, "Oh hell no! If that thing,
the demon
if a demon comes in, or if the thing moves when our hands are not, that's it. I lose it." So I told my sons, I was like, when I was 9, we were with my brother and our friends. The thing that you put your hand on, it
for those that don't know,
it actually levitated. The board levitated, but I was a medium,
So this is the Ouija board. For
Yeah.
those, I know you've heard about it, Demetris, and depending where you are, what cultures, this is the board that we place out. What's so magical about it is, as you see from the alphabet
And this is
to the
the
numbers, this
it's
is the
very
piece.
gentle. This is actually much gentler than
Yeah.
the one that
So
I used growing up.
what the whole goal is we place our fingers on it, and it's really
Very
important
gentle.
that when the fingers are placed on it, it guides and moves to our questions. But we have to be very concise about our questions. We have to be very open and relaxed. We're not putting too much pressure, because at the very beginning, the boys are putting so much pressure, and we're like asking questions, it's not moving.
Because they didn't know what to do.
They felt it. And so obviously there's yes, there's no, there's the alphabet, there's good, there's bad, and there's the numbers. So with all of our hands positioned on it, which is so cool, it has this little see-through area.
And I like this one that was like a heart shape.
Yeah, that it literally guides you through each area.
It pretty much glides. And once you connect with spirit, like I remember when the boy's grandfather came in, like right away you feel it, and the energy starts moving in. And for them, they got a chance to, especially when it spelled my younger son's name, he was like he didn't, because my eyes was closed and he didn't know what to do with that. So we had a chance to, to have that. But the part of it was, again, you go in, you make contact out of respect, and you always, there's an opening and there's a closing, just like anything else, with just so much respect. And there's also the element of it. But what was special about last night was that we said, they want to know, is there any spirits here? And of course there are. And then, but also calling upon, so right away I saw their grandfather. So there's an advantage, because I can see, I can hear who's coming in. So, our hands was there, and the gliding was, a little bit stiff at first. It started moving, and then there was a between the mediumship of me and the thing moving. And the kids have seen various levels of this in me, but it was interesting. My younger one had more, he was more comfortable, and he went for it to asking questions, curious. And they had some questions that they didn't know the answer to. There were a couple of questions that, like, will you answer this, that nobody else would know? And the grandfather is like, of course. So I have a good relationship with their grandfather. So there was some beautiful information came through, but for them, they were, I think that they were intrigued, they were enchanted, they were excited, yet they were
very skeptical.
Skeptical as well. Yet they were thrilled they had the experience. And there was this, my younger one particularly, their grandfather had him see him in his mind's eye. So I feel that was very important.
Yeah. And I thought what was really amazing is it became almost like a direct conduit where, because the questions were so descriptive, and there was a lot of like, okay, we want to hear this, that. It was beautiful to see the boys really listened to Honey because it came to a point where the Ouija board was literally just the symbol, and then the transmission was coming through Honey as she was just hearing them and expressing it forward as if like she's just listening to someone and saying, this is what he's saying, please ask them. And what I loved about it is, I don't know if that was the first time that you've ever been in a situation with the boys where you've had spirits speak to you, you express to them, and here's the biggest part, for them to actually not joke around, take you seriously, listen to them, and to have their own process interaction. Because a lot of times, even as teenagers, we're questioning every single thing about ourselves, about the world. So even afterwards, they were like, wow, this is amazing. Well, I believe it 50-50. Well, I don't know, because a lot of times you never really capture the fullness. Hello, Angela. You never capture the fullness of what the experience is until they have experience,
but this was a very different level, especially because their grandfather came and the brother of the grandfather came. This is their father's side, and we've been divorced and all of that, but I do have that relationship, and their grandfather said some messages about their father, and my kids wanted to know. They didn't want to ask their father, but their grandfather was able to answer. So there was something pleasing about it. They were extremely respectful, and they really, really, they weren't defiant. They were so respectful. They stayed in there and took part. And it was an amazing experience. Then we wrapped it up, and the wind at some point was crazy. And there was this one part when the grandfather was talking, this lightning came, and that kicked me out.
Well, that's when he closed, because he was saying, he said there was going to be a sign. And what I thought what the most powerful moment of all it was when the grandfather came through and he says, I'm going to show you, and I'm going to show you my presence. And I know a lot of times when we're communicating with spiritual realm, the mind wants to like see something move, it wants to hear something. And I love how delicately they provided this situation, because it's always given to the situation that's most comfortable. So what was so powerful,
it was so beautiful,
is he literally said, Nevan,
to my younger, my 16-year-old,
he said, place your hands on the board. So
because he had at some point my younger son had removed his hand from the
place your
Ouija
hands
board.
on the board. I want you to close your eyes. And he started walking him through a guided visual of what he remembered of the old house,
his grandparents' house,
and what would be to come forward in his own visualization. And I thought what was so magical was not only was there any resistance, but there was actually the ability for him to follow naturally, comfortably, and without any resistance, for him to fully see what you were seeing, what he was describing, and for all of it to come.
And I felt that was
in his first opportunity. It wasn't
in his first opportunity, because that was that part of his mediumship, to get like, it was like touching that, but he doesn't want to, but yet it's all there. Because my younger son, I mean, he's so connected. He's shut it down for years now. So this was, I feel like, part of him opening that door back up, which was it was so beautiful.
And thank you, Sunshine Love. I absolutely agree of bringing awareness to the teenagers in the spiritual realm, because that's when their hormones are going. And, I shared a post, how many of our children's and many of our beings are geniuses as we are started in life. And sometimes our education is limited based on what we're stimulated upon in our systems. And these areas,
they have access, but it's been shut down or feared because of the movies and all of that, not touched
or limited based
for
on the
those
judgment.
of you who are joining, I don't know, Angela joined. We're talking about last night's experience,
Charles.
Ouija board, and Charles, thank you for joining.
So we're talking about, just to recap, the experience with the ability to connect within the spirit realm, using the Ouija board as a portal and using it for the highest light, and most important, honoring what I felt with your children were their ability to respect, to listen, and to be educated upon what they can do. Because what was amazing is even spirit on the other side gives the permission to say, well, you have this power. You are able to speak to me. We can communicate. It's just allowing that area where it's been shut off to be opened again, because sometimes we're just not giving the basic tools or the basic programs to help people feel comfortable. Because when we think of spirit, then people think of possession or cult or something that they're afraid of
Yeah,
because the mind can't
the
quite
boy
understand it.
said, I felt it was going to be very, I was ready for demon to come and this and that. I was like, no, I said, it's very subtle. Talking to spirits is very subtle because they're not informed. They have to use a way to communicate to you. So then they became part of the education, which I felt like my kids have been around us for so many years and they've kind of put it aside, but they were so receptive. It happened to be because of Halloween and with you and what we set up. So it was joyful. It was exciting. And they gave them an experience, but they're like, I don't want to do it again. We're like, okay, no problem, but they had a chance to communicate with their grandfather it's been 10 years on spirit's side. And I asked them, I was like, are you going to tell Dad? They're like, yeah, we're going to tell him what Grandpa said.
Sure.
Which is really it's really, really cool.
And it's good. And what I find with the most powerful things about that is when we can give our children, our teenagers, a positive experience for them to look back as their foundation to learn and grow upon. And really, interesting.
There you go. Oh, the water.
And how interesting it is to.
Yeah, that was where the Ouija board was. That's okay, Marco. They're cleaning anyway. Don't worry.
I know.
They're coming. And and the other part of it is the other part that I feel is very important. My younger son grabbed another YouTube video, and he showed, my God, look, Mom, these boys are doing this, and these boys, they had found the 4 boys living in a house where there was a spirit there, and they decided to call a Ouija board, but they didn't know what to do. So my younger son brought it, and he's like, Mommy, look, they didn't know what they're doing. They're going in without what you and Michael did. I was like, exactly. So we taught you, if you're ever in this position, you know what to do. You always show up with respect. You put the parameter who you're going to interact with, and that's how it is done. So it was such a beautiful, positive, amazing, beautiful experience, not threatening, not rattling. And it really eased their mind, their consciousness, like, wow, spirit board is not quite, and they know mom is a medium, mom communicates. They're like, wow. And it's funny because my sons always tell they've become more comfortable. They tell their friends, well, my mom is a medium. My mom speaks to those on spirit side, to the angels, to the masters. So sometimes their friends come and talk to me, or, which is just, it's so beautiful. So anyway, so that was our experience last night. So we made a little post. And again, there's that fear-based consciousness around it. And we're here to educate. Love attracts love. Fear attracts fear. Simple thing as I've been a meditation teacher for 25 years. Even sitting in meditation, if you're entering this space with fear-based, you're going to absolutely have a fear-based experience. And if you're going with love, not being naive, but going in with responsibility, with love, you're going to have the most beautiful experience, at the same time. So again, for those of you, this is the original edition in 1972, the first published edition. And this was Michael's parents that bought it. They used it. So
and I would
cute.
love just to read it, just to kind of
so just let Michael read it. Okay, go ahead.
It says, place Ouija talking board upon the laps of 2 persons facing each other, lady and gentleman preferred. This is the first time I'm reading it.
Okay.
Place Ouija mysterious message indicator in the center of Ouija talking board, resting fingers with the least possible pressure upon the mysterious message indicator, allowing it to move freely over Ouija talking board in all directions. Questions may be asked in from 1 to 5 minutes. The mystery message indicator will commence to move at first slowly, then faster. As it passes over the Ouija talking board, each letter of a message is received as it appears through the transparent window covered by the message. Care should be taken that one person only asks a question at a time so as to avoid confusion.
Yeah.
To obtain the best results, it is important that the person should concentrate upon matter in question and avoid other topics. If you use it in a frivolous spirit, asking ridiculous questions, laughing over it, you naturally get undeveloped influences around you.
Yeah.
The Ouija talking board is a great mystery, and we do not claim that at all times and In all circumstances, it will work equally well. But we do claim that with reasonable patience and judgment, it will satisfy your greatest expectations. Explore the mysteries of mental telepathy and subconscious with time-tested favorite. Ouija, talking board sets should be kept smooth and free from dust and moisture, as all depends upon the ease in which the feet glide over the surface, rubbing with a soft, dry cloth before using it. Do not store in a damp place. I was just reading this because I felt like, we never really read the directions.
So, the directions, part of it is like, our hands always must be placed there. And it's not really so, but when the hands are placed, there's this energy that flows. So it's everyone's energy. And it really ties into the spiritualist that was like 200 years ago in the US. And part of the seance room where they call upon the spirit, and there is a collective where the individuals must hold their hands in the energy build up so that spirit can, through ectoplasm, show itself within. So Demetris, you probably know in England they have quite a bit of physical mediumship, where through the ectoplasm the spirits do appear in the room, but it has to be a dark room so that there's enough energy that is created so that they can appear and create through the ectoplasm into a material form and do what they do. But I feel like yesterday, for our purposes, the energy moving and what was shared was just beautiful, just enough. And it gave my sons the opportunity to remove the fear aspect from what has been taught through the TV programs and all of that, to see, wow, it's just the medium. And it gave us the opportunity to bring our teachings into it, which I was very grateful for. So that was last night, and
no better way to celebrate a Halloween
like
a
that.
little spirit celebration and just some joy and fun, and to allow the teenagers to see what it's like when Honey and I really get into it, because we do have an adventure-like heart, which I feel leads into our next segment of Greece. When we do allow our hearts to fully shine, we tend to jump to the highest directions, whether it's an ancient site, whether it's an archaeological mystery. Wherever we go, we tend to really just jump into our teenage infinite levels of energy to just really explore the mysteries around the world.
Yeah, so Demetris, being part Greek, and you were with us quite a bit. So for those of you, you can watch earlier videos. We did a segment 1 for the first part of the Greece, then we did a segment 2 with particularly 1010, because why we didn't make it to Egypt and the work we did in Milos for the 1010 Stargate, and what we discovered between Santorini, Mykonos, Milos, and also, so when we left Milos, for 4 places we were placed, which was, the very first one was Delphi, then Acropolis, then taking off, coming to Naxos, because Naxos on the October 19th, which would have been 1910-19, that was the global goddess gathering of the Network of Light. And that was a huge initiative through our dear sister, Mary Cornwell, and also Kimmy Porter, which we took part, as we had taken part last year, in the rise of the sacred divine feminine. And there were circles all around the world that were gathering in this anchoring through this grid work. And we were positioned Naxos. And initially, we were just going to be at the temple. This is beautiful. At the temple of Apollo. And however, as we got there, things changed, just as they always do. So we wanted to just take a little time to share with you what took place in Delphi first, and then Acropolis, because it was like one after another experience. And by almost the last time we got to Paros, we just didn't want to do anything and just exhausted. We really needed a vacation after almost 1 month, 27 days. And with this planetary activation of the crystalline diamond codes of light and all that we were receiving. And we're back in the US just adjusting, and I had a little surgery on Monday. So I've been just anchoring and resting, like just attempting to rest before then we get into 11:11 coming up and everything that is here. So let's start with Milos. We got to talk about Milos, leaving Milos and getting into Athens. So let's do it very quickly. We were at the airport.
And as always, when Honey and I go to sacred places, there's one thing we do is we fall in love with rocks and crystals. More specifically on the islands, we were going from island to island, asking the permission of the land and just using our hearts to bring our friends and family home with us. So that
rocks. We love rocks so much.
So we wanted to bring them back. And I thought the funniest thing is when we went to Milos Airport, a very small airport in which we were positioned, of course, at the front of the line, positioned in front of course, a policewoman that was this TSA security guard that was overlooking the scanner.
By the way, the whole airport was the size of our living room. That's it.
Small.
It's so tiny and just one little built for security. I mean, tiny.
Yeah.
So we go through it. I go first.
And Honey goes through it, and they start scanning, and she starts seeing that there are rocks.
Yeah, just rocks up. Because I kept finding heart-shaped rocks as you saw the pictures. I take them
and gifts that we were going to give to our friends and family and use as creations for our you were going to use for the
light language and some of the ones. So anyway, so as I went through it, this very Hitler incarnated woman, Greek woman, she discovered, the rock's here. So she took my backpack, took the rock, and threw it in trash. And then Michael was coming.
And the trash can was empty.
Empty, so it would make sound.
Dong,
so then Michael came. So there's nothing like Michael who has the rock. I thought he'd put him in the suitcase. There are rocks in his backpack, every pocket, everywhere.
Because she gave me 3 bags of huge rocks.
And I put him by the suitcase. He was going to put him in the suitcase, so he put him in the backpack.
We only had 23 kilograms or 50 pounds, and so I thought, I'll just put him in the backpack. So we go through them, and I kid you not, 5 different times I went through the scanner, and she kept saying, there's another rock. There's another rock.
So she would take the backpack, go back. So Michael was treated as the highest criminal that I've ever seen you be treated. Because prisoner, because you had these rocks. No rocks on the airplane. She threw them in the bag. So they had a few.
And there was times when she was taking rocks out, I was trying to put it, hide them. She's like, no, I see that rock. Put that rock over here.
If you do it, I will strip you. No more rocks. So then Michael had to.
So then I was getting upset. Then she started going through. She saw a crystal. You're not taking these crystals. These are my dad's crystals. They mean heart. She's like, no, we won't take crystals. We take rocks. So she's going through them all. And it was just funny because as we were going, I look at Honey, and Honey was doing amazing because she was just sitting there looking at me, and I'm like, really?
I was just watching this because I could have really gone the other way, and I just didn't. I was like, wow, this is very interesting. And I could feel the violation towards us, but in such. And we're getting ready to go to Delphi. So, of course, we knew there's the energies coming. So, anyway, make a long story short, we got stripped from our rocks.
We got all of our rocks. And I thought it was funny.
And it was heartbroken because it was from Mykonos and Santorini and from ancient places.
And Milos. And I thought it was cute because as everyone's watching us, the next lady that goes through, she's like, you got a rock too. And she pulls out this beautiful rock. She's like, wow, I totally forgot about that. So we get to the plane. And we're just kind of bedazzled of
So I feel we just said that we were just so. I feel we were just heartbroken.
Our friends were
because
taken away from us.
We really feel there are rocks. So Michael knows when we go somewhere there's a beach, I start walking and I talk. I literally feel I talk to every rock and I keep asking. I was like, who wants to come with me? Who wants to come? And they're always gifts. Who wants to come? And so there's all of this time and energy spent.
And gifts. There were one lady in Santorini drew paint over some of them, so I had to throw those aboard. But the good news is by the time we got to our next place, I found a couple rocks. So she didn't get this rock because I had so many scattered in different places. There was no way she was going to take all my rocks. So we're
the teenagers that got away.
And cute ones, kind of all dispersed. And I didn't even know how many because they were just in so many different compartments that I was like, you know what? And then we learned real quickly that we just have to just be grateful that whatever we get, if it's 1 rock versus 30 rocks, that we're just happy with it. But to honor the grace of the land, to honor what we bring in and carry on, and to honor, each area. Because the thing about Milos is it is a very The land,
Protected
it's a protective
land.
land because it has so many different types of rocks, so many different areas. And though there were rocks from other islands, we can see that.
But obsidian was
Yeah.
their major
And she
possession.
was in a very, very bad mood.
Very bad.
And so we leave and we
anyway,
fly. And I remember we go up, we go down, we get to Athens
in 20 minutes.
in 20 minutes. But when we get to Athens, we realized this was the flight that when we flew into Athens, was this the one that we
No,
barely
that was
landed?
the
Okay,
other
so
one.
we flew into Athens and we ground and we knew immediately we were going to get a vehicle. We were going to go straight to Delphi.
Which was, okay, so just FYI, we needed to get to Delphi, and we had about 3 hours to get, well, it was going to be 3 hours. So we had decided we're going to spend the night. So we wake up in the morning, we are in Delphi, and so we can do our activation, and we know it's a highly protected area, guards and everything, so we can't set a medicine, we can't do any of that, but we got to do what we got to do with anchoring these crystalline diamond codes of light and sort of get out of there before the tour buses arrive at 9. So it was very strategic how we get together. So we landed at the airport, fortunately very smooth car rental place with Alamo, thank you so much. We got in there, an awesome car we got, really easy, thanks to Maps.me.
Maps.me is a great application that doesn't use any type of internet service, so we can have it on our airplane mode and still shows us where we can go by putting the route and location.
So we got that. So right away, Michael was just exhausted. As soon as we landed to Athens, Michael was just spinning dizzy, like he just didn't know what's going on. So of course I love to drive. Got in, I was like, Michael, sleep a little bit. We have a little bit of drive.
I didn't realize, but I was being activated before going to the site because I could just see my complete energy from just lethargic, feeling a little dizzy, feeling a little out of it, and just coming from one island, from one plane to another. And I'm sure the altitude and elevation were getting higher and higher. I don't know what was happening, but I was just completely just out of it. Like the whole energetic trip going up there, it just felt like I was like,
you were he was totally out of it. It was so we had some food to ground. I know, feed the man to make sure he's grounded. So we got in the car, and so just FYI, where the airport is closer to the east side. Athens, where Acropolis is, it's absolutely insane because I was there 21 years ago. Bus, taxi, like nightmare, and I had no intention of driving there. But the other side, we found the route, which was this highway and also toll road, which we knew would be easy. So no problem. The ride was so beautiful.
We were going
so wonderful
into the mountains,
easy.
And for those that don't know about Delphi, this is a very
But before
place.
Getting there, just so we drove, and and the maps that me took us to one other road, and it was so interesting because as we're driving, some of you may have seen the pictures, start seeing all these white things on the road. It's like, what is this? What is this? We got into the field of cottons. So they have organic cotton. It's one of the biggest productions. So a lot of the clothing like this that are pure cotton comes out of Greece because they have a ginormous production. So we drove for miles and miles and miles through the cotton fields, and you see all these sacred cottons all along the side of the road that have flown. And we get a chance to even park and get some tomatoes, because we went crazy about the tomatoes in Greece, and pull and peppers and pull some, and just so have it for the road. And we had this beautiful drive, and on the drive about almost like an hour before Delphi, as we're driving, suddenly out of nowhere I see this sign, the Temple of Zeus, and I was like, oh my God, Michael, Temple of Zeus, we've got to go there. So of course we took a detour, and this is usually what happens with Michael and I. We have one place to go, but we get very distracted because we see some other things, so we have to go explore it. So you'll see that video. That's an 11-minute video of us attempting to find this Temple of Zeus. So while I'm driving, we pull over to this cafe. They barely speak English, and we're trying to find Temple of Zeus. They finally tell us somehow we go, and the road, it's a manual transmission. So the road is like this, and Michael knows, like, I had to face some of these fears with these roads are like this. And Michael kept saying, honey, don't worry. They don't make the roads that the car is going to flip over.
Her fear is,
and somehow, like, I feel you go
tell her your fear, love.
Yeah, because I've seen it in the dream when I'm driving, and it's getting steeper, and the car literally flips and like falls.
And I told her in this dimension, they don't make roads so that when you drive up, the car falls off the roads. Yet somehow when we drive steep, no matter where we are, she's like, Michael,
like, is
the car going to move?
Michael,
I'm like, honey, the road
like
is not going to make the car roll down the hill, because they don't make roads, because every time you make a road, you assume that if they're going to make a road, a car is going to go up it. No matter how light the car is, not even if it's a motorcycle, not even if it's a bike, the car's not just going to fall off the road.
But I've seen it in the dream a lot, and my brother saw it in the dream. I know. Like, I take my dreams very seriously. Like, they're very important to me. I have a lot of experiences with this. So anyway, so we go all the way up, and that what is the funniest video. Angela, thank you so much for all your comments on the videos. That is the most hysterical video, because from excitement we go up, and through this chaos we get to this place, and there's just a few rocks, and there's a church. There's no other sign for Temple of Zeus.
It was the ruins.
I was so disappointed. I wasn't satisfied that was the ruins.
But in hindsight, there was a church and there were ruins.
Rocks. Well, they weren't ruins, Michael. They were just scattered rocks. There was no sign or anything.
They were really, really big rocks.
Okay, they were big rocks, but
and I did notice with the big rocks, they were sculpted in the square levels that you would see at different sites of ruins.
Well, anyway, I didn't at least get the confirmation I wanted, so we turned around, and there was
Zeus, love.
I was looking for Zeus. I was so excited because earlier it was in Santorini. I had this big experience for Zeus, so I really wanted to connect with Zeus, to be in his mountain. And here we are. Before we go, we're starting to feel the mountain energy, and here's the temple of Zeus. How amazing! Before we go to Delphi, there is the Zeus temple. Anyway, disappointed, we come back down, but it still was exciting because it feeds this part of Michael and I's energy when we're together. So finally we get to arrival of the sign for Delphi. So let me just share this with you, as some of you may have seen in the post. It's been 8 years that I have had this dream of visiting Delphi. I couldn't wait. And on this trip, before we went, I really wanted to go to Delphi, but it just didn't work out because we had 10 days in Egypt, and the way it just wasn't possible. So I was kind of disappointed and really wanted to do Milos. So but when Egypt didn't work out, we got to be in Milos and go to Delphi first thing right away. And why Delphi is so significant is because on January 8, 2012, when I had died, when I was in spirit side, when the Arcturian Golden Council of 12 brought the images from many of my lives, many of my past lives, these 844 lives, not all 844 lives were shown, but some of the major specific one was shown. This one particular part was shown in Delphi, where the oracles would gather and the work they did that's not necessarily talked about in history. And that was so significant for me, as I really wanted to be just on that land, and I wanted to be in the place that was shown to me when I was in spirit side. So here we are. We're driving, and I'm excited, and Michael has no clue about Delphi. So let's just say this. So we drive up, and as we go, the mountains are getting taller and taller and taller. The elevation is changing. We pass through the town Arachova. It was amazing, and the vibration is building and building. So we finally pull up to the side, Delphi. I'm like, oh, wow, Delphi. So I am a total spaz from excitement.
She is spaz out of control, and I'm like the goat that's kind of like this out the window because I'm so dizzy, I'm so distraught. I'm literally just like activated because I don't know what's going through me and what's happening.
Michael is just so out of it.
It's very rare because I'm a very high, powerful Aquarian dragon, energetic individual. So when I get into the mountains and get into it, and I did feel the mountain energy, it was just challenging because that energy of what Honey was feeling was like someone that just had like the highest amount of like caffeine just gone to the other side, and I was just
And you
trying to
see
integrate.
also that video too. I'm like, wow, Delphi, we're here. So we're driving and we can't quite see because we got to see it the next day. I'm just still trying to figure out just to get it at least one little look of some of the temple, something. And there's a little bit we see where the buses are parked and all of
Right.
that. We're still trying to drive because like I just besides myself from excitement. And Michael's like, so we went through the town because we had reserved that one night there. We went through the top and where we could see a bit of the sunset as the sun was setting, and we knew we needed to eat because it's taken a while in this drive. It was so funny. So we get up and I'm like, Michael, can you feel it? Wow, look at us. We're here. My God, it's Delphi. And Michael's like, he can't say anything. I'm like, Michael, talk. Say something to me. Can you feel this? Isn't this amazing? Isn't this magnificent? So complete different experiences between us. I'm like, use your words. Say something to me. Say something to me. We're here. So I was in pure euphoric. And so
I was on the opposite side.
Michael was,
on the opposite side, integrating, processing what was to come the next day, because there's moments where you're at a place and you want to feel the fullness of it, but some strange energy is just, I feel like just the legs were taken before me and I was just in an altered state. That's all I can say. Like an energetic realm of like, wow, what is happening to me? Like such a.
So anyway, so we went, parked our car at the hotel. We put our stuff in the room, and you see that video that is that tiny little elevator we give in. Like, and I don't know why when I get in these, it was like Nice, France, when we get in this tiny elevator where there's just two people and maybe a suitcase or so, maybe two can fit. This tightness. I don't know why I giggle so much. I don't know why. I think
you
I'm
giggle
maybe
versus
noticed.
getting claustrophobic. Most
I
people
just
probably get
start
claustrophobic and get
laughing.
scared because once you put the suitcases in and we're facing
And you're
each
like
other,
stuck in this tight space. So anyway, and we see the sunshine coming in. So we knew we had to eat, go to bed early enough. So we wanted to be up, and we wanted to be, well, we were determined to be the first people in Delphi where the sun is coming.
Now, all intention sounds great, and always we say we're going to go to bed early and we're going to rest and we're going to do it. So let's
just say that didn't happen.
So the intellect always is like, well, that sounds like a great idea, but of course, when we're in the town, we're so hyper that we start walking around the town, looking at all the cute little shops, looking at all the figures.
So let us show you what we saw
all the gods and goddesses, and of course, we have to nibble on something because we're in Delphi. And it was just.
So we had to ground energy. We had to eat, and we wanted to go to bed very early, and that pretty much that was it. And so we came across this one shop, and there's just this one shop. Delphi is very high in the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really high in the mountain, and they have these incredible, beautiful little paintings that we just had to, and there was the most precious guy that George we connected to, so we had to buy a few of these and bring it back with us. That's with Archangel Michael. We just melt over these. So anyway, and then there was one last shop because I wanted to get a couple of the figurines of the gods that we had connected to. So 1 second. So we're going to tell you what happened.
And remember these gods, because somehow Honey wanted to connect to all these gods before he went to Delphi.
Yeah.
And
well, I had been connecting to them, but I don't know as much about Greek mythology as Michael does. But because we don't have much room in our suitcase, I wanted to bring a couple of things back for our altar. Like, for example, this was Zeus, but I wanted to get this very small one. So finally, as we walked around, we were able to find this is Apollo. This is in our altar. Look, this is finally Athena, and this one is Hera. So Hera was the wife of Zeus. Of course, many other wives he had, where Athena and Apollo are their children. So anyway, so having said this, so finally we found one store that had him, and just as we had planned, we go in, huh?
I said just as it always
just
happens.
as always happens, we go in, and there's this one guy who named Demetris, right? Yeah. So that's what made us connect with Demetris. So one conversation led to another, because I wanted to ask, I was like, hey, what's the other special thing about Delphi that people aren't talking about? So it was like this window that he wanted to talk about. So it was so precious. Here we are, we want to go to bed. 2 to 2.5 hours we're in the store with this man and his wife. He opened up like he'd been waiting for us to come to talk about like energy, to talk about philosophy, to talk about higher beings, to talk about the other projects and regarding like the program, mind control, and also galactics, extraterrestrial, starships. So finally we're in the midst of these conversations. So we of course mentioned our beautiful sacred brother Demetris, and here's this Demetris. So we have this loving conversation. The guy is absolutely elevated, like just besides himself. So
and then as we're talking, like about 20 people from Spain come in to like buy all of these clothes, because he's like, I brought a tour in here. So right when we got to leave, you can imagine like 20 Spanish beings like, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want
so
this.
it brought a lot of business for them as well, which they were so thankful. It's just the energy. And he was so elated. Like, so we got a chance to exchange a little gift with each other. We usually carry crystals. So Michael was able to gift them a crystal, and he was able to give us a little tiny Athena so we can remember him and the work. So anyway, finally, exhaustion, we would go to bed.
And before we start the next day, you know, I feel, even for my awareness, which this conversation brought forward, is, you know, for those that don't know Delphi, you know, people really spoke about Delphi as being the center of the world. This is the place where the gods and goddesses do come for their great, not only communication, but for the Olympic Games. This was a sacred place that we look at, and as Honey has that experience with, I didn't, but in what was being communicated, in what I was doing a little research before, is a very, very, very powerful place in the mountains that does overlook the ocean from certain perspectives, in a valley, Mediterranean Sea, and in a place that holds, like any other vortex, a very high, powerful level of energy. The frequency, the vibrations, and what we will express to you is out of this world. It is something that can't really be described. And if I were to say, out of all the places we visit in Greece, Delphi was one that captured my heart to the most, because it is something out of this world. And so I just will leave that before we say what's going to happen, because the energies that it reflect really can't be told until you actually experience it.
It has to be an experience.
And the experience is so unique, because Delphi is not in a large area. It is a place that is fairly limited, which we knew that because it's a limited size, because there's tour buses coming from Greece or Athens early in the morning, we had to wake up very early in the morning, because as usually, Honey and I wanted to be the first to get in there so we could get in, do our healing, do our service, our planetary work, and literally not be distracted by what we usually see when you're in very high, powerful areas. Thousands and thousands of tour buses coming in to explain what their version is versus what we're feeling when we, you know, do
so we don't never get guides or anything like that, because we want that direct experience of taking place. And usually in the morning, it's very important. Michael and I always do our prayer, do everything first before go somewhere. But in the morning we woke up, and it's still very dark and cold, really, really cold, because it's high in the mountain and we don't have enough, you know, proper clothing, but we're putting every layer to go. And so Michael's like, let's just do our prayer there. It opens at 8. That's where the sun comes. Let's do our prayer. So I was like, okay, no problem. I'm never comfortable, because I love to do my prayer first and then, but we did it this way anyway. So here we go. We're the first people as the gate is opening. And just before we go, there's this beautiful kitty cat that visits us. So we know we're already receiving the guidance. So we stand there, we're like this, and they open, we're like, hi, and besides ourselves, of course, I'm beside myself, excitement. So we walk right away. So I wanted Michael and I to go right away, just do the prayer first before anybody comes. So we go right away, walk up, and there's a full video of that, of where we are inside where Apollo's temple is, and this is where the sun is first coming in. So we can do. So let me show this to you. See, there it is. So the sun is just coming in this high mountain, so we can start to do our prayer before like anything else. And so let me just show this to you, and here are Michael and I.
So as I'm
So
as I'm walking up, all of a sudden I just burst into tears.
So as Michael is going, I'm doing the video.
She's
You
doing
see,
the
I'm
video.
doing
I'm
the
behind.
video. You see that full video,
So
what
she-
it's like
so she-
coming up.
And so I'm walking behind her, doing a little capturing of my own, but I don't know what happens, but I just start crying and I start crying, and all this energy comes in, and then all of a sudden I start hearing and feeling the voices of the gods and goddesses, which I thought was interesting because she bought all these figures. And I hear, welcome home. You were here, part of this creation. We're so grateful for you to be here. This is where it's like they came in such reverence. I get the goosebumps when I feel this, because it's like, imagine going to a place for the first time.
Yeah.
And as you're going there, you just feel this rushing of like tears of just happiness, joy, excitement, ecstatic nature, and all I can do is just cry and cry and cry as they're welcoming, as they're just like all there, and like Honey's like, in her world, I just couldn't stop crying.
So let me just show you. So this is higher up. So we come down to this section to do our prayer, right? So hi Valerie. So we come to this section to do the prayer. So Michael is crying,
So
crying.
I keep crying because before we even go into our prayer,
Yeah.
I have to ground myself, because the energy of Delphi was so overwhelming that, I mean, if I'd have to do my prayer, I probably just cried for the next hour of being in this ancient temple, like literally in ruins, that I would look up and I would see the mountains and then the blue sky. And then
This was Michael's element.
And then I saw the ruins, and it had the energy of a Machu Picchu. It felt like the energy of being at the Great Wall in China for my first time. It had the energy of like riding the biggest wave of my life. Something that was so extreme that the words were just, I just couldn't quite engage into them because the tears kept falling.
So Michael is in this place, so he's starting to pray. So I'm like sitting there, and then so there's nobody there yet, and there's this one guard. One guard passes us with this awful mean energy, and I knew this was a distraction. So she goes up, starts talking so loud right above us, and meanwhile, like I shared, I hadn't done my prayer. I wanted to get into the prayer so I can start receiving. I had just one agenda. I wanted to find the spot where I had seen in spirit side, wherever that was, what I was doing in that lifetime as an oracle. So I just needed to find that. So that's all I wanted to do. So Michael is there. This lady goes, so I was like, I'm going to go switch. So I go to this other side, and there are bees and bees and bees. And so I'm starting to get irritated because I can't get into this space that I want. I waited 8 years to get here. So Michael is like,
meanwhile, I'm in prayer. The lady's talking in the background. I can't even hear because the sun is rising. The birds are singing. I'm like, the angels are around me. I feel like I'm in God's presence, and I'm just in this ultimate, like serene ecstasy area, and then there's.
And meanwhile, I am.
She's
getting
more
more
irritable,
irritated,
more and more upset,
more pissed,
and I'm just being.
And I received my holy blood that morning. I was like, wow, I gotta give my holy blood to the land. How am I gonna do it? There's so many freaking guards here. We can't even set up the medicine wheel. We gotta do our planetary work. So there was so much happening
in
inside
prayer.
of me.
When it took me 15 minutes to get into my morning prayer, because all I kept seeing was Zeus come forward and bowing down, and then Aphrodite, and then Poseidon and Hercules, because it was my dream. Like when I grew up, mythology was such this like love for me. And so being in a sacred site where I could feel the energy of the gods, and not only just feel the energy, but just feel their ultimate welcome, as like the red carpet has been thrown out, and here you are, a part of them, honoring them as we are the gods, as each of like the godhood, the goddess within us is being displayed with the highest level of love. So for me to even get into prayer, I had to channel myself back into my body so I could fully engage myself into doing my daily morning ritual. And so, so going through it and really just not being distracted by all the other energies around, by people. Like one person was taking pictures, the security was going. So when I was done, it was amazing, because I'll share it later today when I post a picture on my site. It just gave me such this experience that we were a part of it. We were there. We were in the creation. There's something that really came through.
So we were able to we had one guy finally take some pictures. This is about the ancient theater, sing it that. And I wanted to sing at the ancient theater, but all these things I wanted to do, I wasn't able to do.
She was on a mission.
So I was in a mission of completion, but I couldn't quite do what and that's the comical part of this. So we had
we go
two specific crystals we had to plant.
But after the prayer, remember,
we finally got into the prayer
all the way up to the gymnasium.
By the way, this was the highest part where they did Olympic Games up here. This is like thousands of years ago. So it's quite amazing. And then we found this one cat that I wanted to bring. They have the most beautiful cats.
Guides along the way.
This spirit guide, this was like another bastet, would not leave. And of course, a lot of Egyptian energy continuously, so which was beautiful. And the other part of it, so finally I got to my prayer. I was like, I'm determined. I was like, this is not the area. We got to go down. So I was like, and then we can start to hear the buses coming. I'm like, Michael, we got to wrap this up. Go to the party.
So she was like, by the way, she was like, warrior on a mission, going to these places. And I was just like walking with tears and just looking at the rocks, like, wow. And just being in my heyday, probably a little more grounded than the day before, but still like in this.
Oh, you were so not grounded,
and so
Michael.
this level, so.
By the way, Charles, these pictures are all on our fan page, the Honeyboard and Author Speaker Healer page, and all the videos are there too. So anyway, so from here, then we see these are the ancient writings right on Athena's temple. And so we wanted to, Athena was very significant. Let me show you. This is in front of the Athena's temple. This was very significant because Athena held a place before as the goddess. So what's significant about Athena is that it was said that Athena was born out of Zeus's head that was cracked. So she carries all the wisdom of the world. So that's why she had such high, that's why Athens is named after her as the highest level of wisdom, the wisdom carrier of the world. And so because of her role, her temple was, you always have to go before Athena's temple before you could go to Apollo's temple, because she was able to be the container. And of course, that's the divine, sacred, divine, feminine container, which was very important.
What was also very interesting is we weren't really aware of the geographic location of the ruins. So Honey had this one sacred spot that she was very fixed to finding because it was like the ultimate spot.
Because that's what I had seen in spirit side. I needed to find to just stand there.
This one spot. So I felt like we were not only on a mission, but she was like, we got to find this spot. We got to find this spot.
And the writings. So I wanted to find the writings. So look, some of the writings. I had to find the writings.
So we go through the whole ruins, and by the time we get to the top, it's like, we got to go down. And by the time we get down, that's when all the tour buses started to come in. And that's when, the hundreds of people started coming in. And so
we had to do our quick pray, the fastest version possible without being distracted. So finally, this is the lower part gymnasium.
And then I went ahead and planted my crystal above.
So Michael did what he did. And then I came down to find it. So I finally found my spot that I was looking and took a few videos to try to find it. Let me show you here.
but it wasn't exactly what it
But it
looked like.
wasn't quite it. Talk about disappointed. It was partial, but not really. So here it is, very clear. As an oracle in Delphi, my role to help assist interdimensional mating creation with those who were the priestess of the highest initiation. So much is revealed to me on spirit side. And here I am finally 8 years later on that land. I'm able to feel it. Frustrated. I can't even experience what I wanted to experience. So I get here, doesn't have the energy. Didn't have the energy. It was so disappointing, yet so excited. But I feel, wait, I have to say that I feel the day before arriving to Delphi, I experienced that level of ecstasy before even getting on the land. So I was able to tap into it. But when I got to the actual site, I feel because a lot of the sacred sites are tampered with, manipulated, controlled, this, that, moved around, shifted around, I couldn't experience the sacredness of it. However, when we sit in meditation, I was able to see that I told Michael, the tunnels underneath Delphi that connect to Machu Picchu, same as the tunnels that connect to Egypt. So I was able to see that, and I was able to see the information that was coming from Atlantis, where the priestesses were and the high priests were able to leave Atlantis and go create these civilizations, and the way they were able to move through these under the tunnels through Hollow Earth, and also some of the other information regarding these interdimensional pyramids that are set in the anchoring of the light. And we knew the work we needed to do with Delphi, with Greece, with the Sacred Divine Feminine, Sacred Divine Masculine, the Yeshua Magdalene codes, and the Crystalline Diamond codes of light that was activated in the center of Santorini and Milos, and it had to be connecting to all the other islands. So this spiraling energy can take place, but the main energy coming from Delphi and connecting it to north, all the way up past Finland, all the way to South Africa and to the east and the west. So there was a lot of work planetary level had to be done.
And during that meditation that we did, it was powerful to see that the diamond, a gold diamond was directly above us and connecting this golden funnel of energy in the horizontal axis that was streamlining to all the islands around us. And then what we put together, also seeing that they were streamlining to different dimensional portals above the islands that went out to each of the grid lines. So in that meditation that we did together, it was powerful when this energy started to come out and upward and then to all the islands. Then it was what I saw was this golden liquid energy then move through all the active grid lines, connecting to the places that we've worked with within DC, to London, to Machu Picchu, to Miami, to Mexico. Like it was like they all went out to all the grid lines of the world and stuff like that. And it was powerful as we were above in that gymnasium to feel that energy in Delphi, to be there at the very beginning of the morning before they all came, before all the tourists came, and to
we had literally 1 hour
to allow that energy to come through to receive what we both need to receive. For me to anchor the Sacred Divine Masculine as Honey was anchoring the Sacred Divine Feminine energy, spiraling all that energy together. And then once from there, Honey on a warpath trying to find this one spot, as I'm kind of like in my sensitive, like ultra goddess moment of just being one with the land and talking to the gods, that somehow we beelined it all the way down to find the other place, which was like, a whole adventure of itself, because we didn't realize how far from Delphi there's a separate spot outside of the ruins.
You have to go down, and there's another portal there too. So there's a lot happening within 1 hour, and it's like we're in this like fast-paced attempting to accomplish this before that. And part of it, I needed to give my holy blood back into the land, but there were freaking guards everywhere, very frustrating. So I was able to take a little detour and find a spot before going down there, and entrusting, okay, it will be what it will be. And so it's just hysterical, frustrating, exciting, amazing, exhilarating, exhausting, everything in between.
I felt what you were looking for in Delphi.
Yeah.
I experienced the day
you
of.
Did.
And so it was like this energy where she got what she wanted the day before because of her excitement. The day of, I was just like this babbling little kid of just crying in the tears of the connections that got.
But it was important because we needed to experience that before then Acropolis, because then we had to drive all the way back to Athens because the next day we had to get the Acropolis. So we had 2 days to serve this planetary work, especially to help shift things a little bit. Greece, we received, when we didn't make it to Egypt, why Greece was so important part of the planetary ascension and what that vibration needed to do between the interdimensional doorways as well as all the other islands as one ginormous land that is here to radiate the crystal light. So as a result of it, it was so interesting. We got back, so we ate, we drove all the way back, and by the way, you see in Anakhova when we stayed, we drank a lot of the fresh mountain water,
which totally brought us into integration.
Just totally.
And real quick before Angela,
yeah.
the beautiful thing about Delphi was we were met by amazing spirit guides, and I'm educating Honey. When you see a dog that's waggling its tail and it's moving its head like that, it's not a guard dog that's going to bite. Because as she was coming, she's like, Michael, there's
I've
this dog.
I've been jumped by 3 German shepherds, like in the middle of daylight.
About, 20 different nipples that you could tell that was pregnant or just had puppies, was like wiggling its tail and going, and I was like, there's a dog here, I'm like, look, this dog is so cute. So
I'm learning about that, because again, I've been jumped by 3 German shepherds. Again,
wiggling its tail and like
I'm not paying attention to the dog. Now that you tell me, I know if it's wiggling tail, that means it's a friendly dog.
So Angela, point being is this dog was like so happy, like when I was doing my prayer, kept coming up and looking at me. So that we feel was another spirit guide there, because we had no clue where this dog came from. We were the first in there.
That one cat particularly.
Yeah. And so we feel that was another animal which helped dispel Honey's fear, as well as another cat that came and that just kept giving us more love. So
this cat just stayed with us the whole time. It was incredible, and we knew it was that was very clear to me. Goddess Bastet, and it was connecting to the lower portion of Egypt. Like I knew it without any shadow of the doubt. Okay, so the work that we weren't able to do at the Isis temple is being done here, because we kept connecting to all these Egyptian energy in Greece, which was, of course, there was a lot of that. So anyway, after Delphi, we came back, grounded, just wiped that, and the next day we had to get to Acropolis. So we had one more day, and thanks to Todd Medina of Sology, when I was on there on September 19th, the conversation before me was with Erini. And so when I was having the conversation with Todd's like, listen, Erini's in Athens. You guys got to connect. So we had contacted her and we told her we'll meet her after Acropolis. So we were very focused to get to Acropolis, connect all of these grid lines together. But we knew Acropolis, I'd been there again 21 years ago. And I never forget when we arrived there, as me and my 2 girls, I didn't know anything 21 years ago at that time. So as we got up, as soon as I see Acropolis, I pass out, and they come put water over me, all of that. I didn't know what was going on. So here's 21 years later, I go with Michael. Michael is feeling it, and there are like thousands of people there.
A very hot day again.
And a very hot day. So we had to also complete this relatively fast, but there were so many guards that, again, not one we could set up a medicine wheel. And that's usually what happened with planetary healing. We know there's certain places we just can't set up medicine wheel, and that's okay. But we got to do the work through our crystalline diamond body very quickly. Michael is working with the vertical axis. I'm working with the horizontal axis. And as Michael is anchoring, I got to spend the energy. So it's very clear, the sacred divine feminine, sacred divine masculine, and we got to be kind of like nonchalant about it, not really blend in and not visible, not obvious at all, and get it done very quickly, see it, and bring all the other streams through. So anyway, so that was very powerful. And there's also the video of that, especially again, the courtroom of Pallas Athena is very important. If you understand the role of that, uh, mm, Athena's presence was very, very, very important. And she's a huge part of the sacred, divine, feminine rise. Especially in this, because she holds that balancing energy, and she is the warrior goddess, and to hold her grounding amongst the masculine presence. So she represents a very huge part within that region of the Europe, Middle East, and Asia, to help rise of the Magdalene frequency. And for 5 years, I've been placed in south of France, September timeframe, October, for the 9/9 and fall equinox. And this is the first year that things shifted around. Again, it's still releasing the Magdalene codes, but this one was very much led by Athena, and wow, to such presence that she's been part of the team for a while, but I got to really experience her. And this, and again, 21 years later, recognize this was the energy that I was meeting, that I couldn't even handle it back, and that's why I passed out. So here we were.
And so afterwards, we were very honored because we got to meet Erini through zoology, that we connected with Todd, to then connect a lot of what she was doing on 8/8 to what we were moving through the islands. So afterwards, we walked through the alleys. Got a chance. What I was really fortunate of is to see the energy of Athens, a very lively city, very just vibrating a lot of beautiful energy. And for us to come from the islands, go to the Acropolis, and underground, we found this beautiful, or actually Erini found this beautiful restaurant called Avocado, a vegetarian restaurant where we just grounded and we connected. It was really amazing. When
we should say this: the drive from Delphi back, and the amount of olive trees,
Yeah.
like never ending olive trees. I cannot tell. We even stopped by and like pick up olive, but you were surprised when you ate it. I just have to say,
don't pick an
don't
olive.
pick an olive from olive
just
tree.
because
You
it
can
looks
eat it.
mature, eat it, because it's the bitterest thing ever. It has to be marinated, because I had to eat and drink
And
so
just
much.
FYI, like how high the mountains are when you drive. I mean, it's just spectacular. Anyway, so then we get to Acropolis.
So, when we finished our work and when we went to Acropolis,
and this was the picture you see when the work was completed.
which we had lunch in Anahova, came back, and we're just honored that through our
so this is Acropolis.
Through our work in Acropolis, we got a chance to meet Erini, and really just, what I thought was gifted is she was definitely a being of light, soul family. And just when you're on the road and you can connect with someone that is in their own home country and just collaborate with what has been moving through in her world, what has been moving through our worlds, and just to, I feel, be activated. As you guys know, when you're listening to us, or when you're reading posts, or when you feel this resonance of the energies, then there becomes this activation within. So we are.
This is the famous Athena temple.
So we were just so floored to see how much we could, share in that moment, and I felt that was like a.
So it was with Erini, we got to exchange the higher knowledge, what the grid work activation she's done, what we had done, and the work that she was doing in the crystalline diamond, and the work that we're doing, how it overlapped, and the different level of the grid work we were doing. So that was beautiful conversation and sharing that. And the other part that I feel is very important to say, these are ginormous temples. One of the things that was shown to me, because these gods and the goddesses, they were very tall beings, just like the Egyptian ones were. They had to make these tall because they fit in those. They were very, very tall beings, which we got a chance to also experience that. Anyway, so we saw Erini. It was so beautiful. We miss her, and And again, there are these doors that the higher information, if you want, you can access, and the pyramids and what have you. There are pyramids there, and the pyramids are, let me just bring this. This is Erini. She's a powerful light worker. So if you're ever in Greece or in Athens, get in touch with her. And if you're part of a grid work, you guys can exchange knowledge with each other.
She leads beautiful tours around sacred sites in Egypt. I mean, Egypt
In
and
Greece.
and connects a lot.
We sent some love in front of the parliament there. Just FYI, in Greece right before we left. So then it was packing up. Here's us, Erini. And then it was right away. We're so happy. Just 2 days in and out. Next day we fly to Naxos.
Right.
Yeah. So Naxos, we're going to be there 4 days. And before we left, our biggest work was around this 10-19-19, which was the global goddess. And we knew we were going to be at the Apollo temple. We knew this up front. So we get in, and by this time we were exhausted because we did the work in Delphi, we did the work in Acropolis, and then Erini. We just like wiped out. So we're like so excited. We're like, okay, we get to Naxos, we get to just rest the first day, and then we gotta do nothing. And except one thing, just to rest, because it's the end of the season, everything's closing. We just have to get one rental car to get to the one location. That's it. But as you all have followed, this never happens to us. So
we arrive. Obviously, we get the coolest taxi driver by the name of Demetris.
By the way, this is the airport. This is the baggage claim. It's the tiny, look, that's the baggage claim. My God, I missed. It's the smallest little thing.
It was precious.
There was only one airplane at the airport. That was us. That's it. That is it.
So we fly in, we get a taxi, we go to, of course, a place that is called Athena Plaka, meet the owner, which of course is called Athena. And then we sit down with her for the next hour and a half, which she's talking about the dimensional doors.
No, wait a minute. So she looks at, she's like, I love your earrings. So we sit down. So she comes to show us the room, tell us about her property. Next thing you know,
she looks at here. She's like, that's very interesting. I was like, you've heard of Archangel Metatron? And so she's like, well, you are my guest. I have to show you the spots on the island. She puts a map. We literally open the conversation talking about who we are, what we're doing,
we're
why
very
we're
open.
There. And she's like connecting. She's like, I don't understand what you're saying, but I feel you. I understand. We were the last guest of the season. This is a woman that not only opens the red carpet for her place, but she just shows from her heart that she really gives everything into her beautiful hotel. And so for us to come in exasperated, exhausted, and really sharing things that she doesn't hear from most guests.
We just wanted to rest. So she's open up to an hour and a half. She's like, wait a minute. So it gives her opportunity. So she's like, is this true? She's like, there are 3-dimensional doors here. We're like, great. So the conversation's open. We're like, we need to know where they are. We have to go here. So we mapped it out where we got to go. So then we understood so much about why we were really in Naxos then, which we weren't prepared for. So the one place that we were supposed to see ended up being 5 locations that we had to see on this 10-9 to activate.
Meaning the one space we were supposed to go, we chose to do 4 others
in one day.
The good news is we did spend one day, or at least I got a chance to spend one day on the beach just integrating, because we were just literally exhausted. And I loved it because she said that one of the biggest doors, or what we know as portals, is right in front of her place. And so that day I grounded into the energy.
This was in front of her place.
Yeah, it was like the ocean's right in front. So that day I did some shamanic journeying. I sat on the beach. I connected with Archangel Michael, connected with Athena.
This was from the balcony.
Connected with just a lot of the energies right in front, because the energies that were coming directly from her place through the portal, it opened up a gateway that really gave a massive, massive level of energy that I did a little healing on the land itself with a medicine wheel. I had my dad's ashes that I've taken to different sacred areas, and just really allowed myself to connect with the water, connect with the land, and connect with Naxos, which is the center of all the Cyclades islands of all of Greece. So we knew that we were located directly in the center after we went from Mykonos to Santorini, to Milos, back to Athens. So it was literally a
Creating
diamond,
a diamond.
that we were in our last couple of days to be in the center, completely exhausted, completely exasperated. Honey going into town to get the laundry that we dropped off earlier.
Yeah, so just imagine, usually we stay in Airbnb so we can wash our clothes. We don't, so we have to get to a laundromat, and like we're at the end of the season, the buses aren't coming. The buses usually come every 20 minutes. Now it's like every 2 or 3 hours. So we're facing all of these things, and even like the last foods that are left on the island. So there's a lot of this.
We had some delicious last foods.
So then we go into town to drop. So this is the door. So let's just show it. This is the Apollo temple. We were supposed to be here, but we ended up doing a lot more. So let's move forward quickly. The next day, they had arranged a car rental. Michael and I got into it a little bit because I had a gut feeling not to go with this car rental. Athena had booked a car rental for us. Everything didn't feel right with it. So when the guy came, it just wasn't right. The tire was flat, all kinds of stuff. So I was like, no, we're not doing this, because I knew this is interference. So anyway, other hands helped us. We ended up going to finding this other lady, Maria. We got our car and off we went. So we had, again, 1 day to complete, and we're part of a global goddess grid work of the light of the sacred divine feminine. So we have a lot to complete. We had one place, now we have 4 other locations. I have my Magdalene stand, Michael has his crystal, so let's go do this. And we find out we have to go to the center of the mountain. So as we're driving, I felt like out of all the islands, this one, as we were driving, I was like, oh my goddess, this is beyond ancient.
Rugged.
Like rugged.
Raw.
This is raw. This is like a complete different energy than all these other ones. And we knew as we go into the center, we had to get into the center part. And the first one was we had to get to the Temple of Demetris. It was so interesting that there was a Temple of Demetris in the middle of nowhere. So, of course, we're trying to find it. There's that other video, Angela, that you saw. We're trying to get there. We find a cow instead. No Temple of Demetris. There's always so much adventure.
And this was the biggest island that out of all. And for those that have...
By the way, cat lovers, here in the window, there are cats, like just cats everywhere. I melt. Okay.
So in this island, it's always interesting to follow maps.me, which is giving you the locations, but it's kind of taking you out. So we have to intuitively see where we are on the map, get to the areas, and and look at our hydration, look at the sun, because we're in the midday. We're usually going so strong that we're forgetting about lunch. We're finding places to see where we can eat. Everything is closed. So it is literally
everything
like
was closed
/ never-ending story, Goonies all put together, because we're just these teenagers that have kind of like just lost the art of rest and running on pure adrenaline.
Pure adrenaline. So we find art. So Demetris temple was so important. Demetris temple, it is incredible. It is in the center of this ginormous valley. And Demetris, for those of you that don't know, she was the goddess of agriculture. Naxos is known as the land of agriculture. And so these temples, they did a lot of sacred ceremonies. And these sacred ceremonies was all about where the gods would bring the harvesting through and what have you. And of course, after the religion came, they put churches right into this because they knew these vibrations were very powerful. So we had to do some of our work there and all kinds of just experiences. But this one was very powerful where this was. We did our work. Then we get to the next location, which was the oldest church, not only Naxos, the first actual church that was created.
Yeah, Athena said that.
Athena said
in Naxos there was 3 things that were the first.
They were the first in Greece.
It was the first Jesuits that were there in Greece. It was the first Roman Eastern Orthodox and the first Catholic Church. We also knew that because of these strong powers that are rooted in that island, we also knew that these powers were also in connection with what was already there, because as we've noticed, when you see such heavy levels of institutions, religions, and programs that are placed on these areas, then we know underneath that there is an incredible wealth of wisdom and energy that has been placed in this island.
And out of the temples in Greece, this specific place, Temple of Demetria and Delphi, were the only two temples that had the Sphinx on their temple, no other one. So they were connecting, working with the Egyptian. The Egyptian influence was so powerful that, and we got to actually experience the Egyptian gods and their interaction there. So we got to this specific place. This is the oldest, and within this place there are 144 churches. They knew what power center it was, so we had to bring this sacred purity flame in here.
Churches?
140, sorry, not
Okay.
145.
Okay.
And because there's no photography allowed, so we were talking, and I had to. There was this picture of the old picture of Mother Mary. I had to sneak a photo of this, and a carving in the wall. This is painted into the wall, not as a portrait. So I had to grab that real quick. And anyway, then again, it's just pure raw. And as we came down, we got a chance to see our first marble mountain. Let me show this to you also. This was our first experience of a marble mountain. This is the marble mountain. So these marbles came from Naxos, and these are the marble that were the purest white that created Acropolis. And it had been said, because of the crystalline in it, when you would put a flashlight from one end, you could see the light the other end. So Michael and I, imagine we're driving and suddenly we see how they're excavating the marble. We had to pull over to see this. Here's one. We'd never seen anything like this before. It was devastated how much was being excavated. So we had to
they were literally cutting the mountain down.
Look at that. That's all marble.
It's kind of like when you look at the States when they're clear cutting through trees, but they're clear cutting through the minerals of the land. So you see the landscape being cut lower and lower and lower and lower. It was phenomenal to see what they're doing, because you could see the marble of what was being brought forward. But it was a bit sad of seeing how they were just taking, just large segments. But we were, astounded, because we were looking for this, huge statue, this giant that was like 5 meters and so forth.
But what was important about that, we needed to connect with that energy, because the goddesses knew these. Nobody can explain how these marbles from this Naxos got to Acropolis and it was built, because they're ginormous. But we also knew, because of the crystalline, these were created, the crystalline power and what is in there. So we knew how important it was to connect with it. And here's one piece we had to bring back with us so we can do our higher work. Here's a smaller little piece. And then through some of the island, you see it's washed off also as a pebble. And another thing that I felt Greek inspired, that I brought several back, which I'll explain, and I'm creating art with it, Greek inspired art, and there'll be some language of light around here. Then these are the ones that I'll share more about it later. Anyway, so that part we completed. Then we had to find the 30 feet giant that was rock being that was there. So we went try to find that. And the signs in Greece is very confusing, very hard to find. And so again, we're going through up and down the mountain. We're dizzy, we're expanded, we're feeling the ancient energy, we're feeling the ancient beings, we're feeling exhausted, my God, the galactics, exhausted, tired, So sorry, we're tired. We're trying to still find, again, constantly trying to find. So we finally find the ginormous 30 feet rock being, as you see, Michael is next to it. And again, these ancient beings were there, and they were doing their part. They were part of this entire civilization. And this is also the time of Anunnakis. Like, there's so much around there. So we tapped into a lot of these things. And finally, we came down the mountain, ate, and then off. We went to our big work at finally the interdimensional door of Apollo, where we had to do our big work. So this was almost the last part of my Magdalene sand that I had to anchor into here, and we had to experience this. This was so spectacular. I had the most profound experience here. That's my language of light transmission that you see. It's on YouTube. And we set the medicine wheel. We were able to do this. And this is in plain sight. Plain sight. This, when I was seeing, what they were showing me was, it was on purpose. It wasn't completed, because those who were ready to experience the higher worlds could sit here and access through this door their higher wisdom and initiation and information through the gods and the goddesses. And those who were part of the lower world will go through the lower part. But there are three-dimensional doors specifically in Naxos that are able to connect to the other islands. And that's where a lot of these gods and goddesses are still functioning, still operating, and they're part of their interdimensional islands that are all part of our one ginormous island with the water right in the center of it. So there's a lot already happening, and we just had to tap into its crystalline field, tap into this crystalline crystals present and its purity in this unison, do our part connecting everything before we came back to the US.
And those were just 3 areas. There were definitely 5 other points that were magical that we couldn't quite get to in 2 days. There was Zeus's cave. There was some areas around different parts of the island that would have taken us more time. But for the 4 areas that we could get to, it was very powerful to at least complete that within the last days of our adventure in Greece. So it was really
so this was exhilarating and beautiful. And this is Athena, her place. She was so excited. So family reunion. And so we flew, got to Paros, and we just didn't want to do anything.
So Paros and Naxos are 2 islands right next to each other. And originally we planned to have those islands as a rest from Egypt. But when Egypt fell through, these were literally our last 2 islands before returning. So when we went to Naxos, we had 3 days to rest, which we didn't, of course. We did our planetary healing. And then from Naxos, just a short ferry ride to Paros, so we went over. And it was interesting to go from an island that probably tourism didn't quite begin until the later 90s in Naxos to Paros, which was a island that many people have gone through the 70s. So immediately we felt the energy being much lighter. It seemed like it was very modern. There were grocery stores everywhere, and it was perfect for us on our last island just to really enjoy the beauty, the grace. You could see the wealth there, and just the roads were much wider. The peace of there being what we really enjoyed, being in the quiet part, but just the softness of the land of Paros, which was in quite difference than what we saw in Naxos. So we again found a beautiful little place by the ocean that I really felt was our refugee for the last 2 days, just to rest, to feel the sun, to feel the energy, and of course for Honey to collect as many rocks as possible.
Oh my God, so
she got all her
because the
rocks
Hitler
back.
lady I'll bring it up. Because the Hitler lady took our rocks, we got rid of things out of our suitcase so we can bring these back. I was like, and I talked to Mama Ocean. I was like, you know what? That lady was in a bad mood. She took it. Now we have it, so I can create all the art with it. And it was so devastating, but our friends are back with us. So it couldn't have been more perfect. Right in front, there was so much wind. So let's say we didn't want to do anything. We were exhausted. I told Mark, finally we'd rest. By this time, it's day 25 of our trip, and we're leaving in 2 days. So
we rested.
We actually rested. And finally, we had internet. You know, you face a lot of things.
I became a turtle on the beach. And
Michael did not move. And I couldn't have been happier to see the kitty cats and just chill. And then so finally, when we left, that was an adventure trying to find the new airport, which the GPS wasn't showing up. And the wind was so extreme, like it's just going to blow you away. So I was like, is the airplane even going to take off? So we get on the airplane. We're going back to Athens. We have one night in Athens because the next day in the evening we're flying back to US
And so
with a stop in Ireland and the US. So we got to share this
we
with
flew
you.
out of Paros, which was a short ferry ride from Naxos. Paros is one of the closest islands to Athens, about a 30-minute flight. We fly up, and as we take off, we just feel it moving. Now, I've been in airplanes where definitely the wind is affected, but never in my life could I feel at times like you'd be flying, and then it moved to the side, then to the side, to the side. So watching GPS on the maps.me, you could see that he was coming up from a very different way through the airport. He went to the west, then he went south, then he went back down. Kid you not. Before we landed,
Let's say about 4 minutes or so into landing,
we're feeling the extreme winds. I mean, literally the wind going like this,
Is
going like
like
this, going
this.
like this, going like this, blowing back and forth. And I was just like, okay, we're just going to see what happens.
So I just closed my eyes. I put it, I'm like, Michael, like press, because I am so nauseous at this
I
point.
press all the acupressure points to help her, to calm her system. It's a little more sensitive than me. And literally right before we went to land, the wing went like this. And I swear that the snort was like this the whole time while we're landing. And it went like at the last second this, and then down, and then like this. And I was like, I've never ever experienced where like literally I thought that moment that the plane was just going to tilt and crash down. And I was like, wow, oh my gosh. Like I could not believe that last second. I honestly, I wanted to hug the pilot. I wanted to give him my congratulations. I wanted to write him a testimony. I went up to the stewardess, like, that pilot did amazing. Like, yes, he's one of the best that we have. And I turned to Honey, I'm like, how high are these winds? It was like 40 an hour mile winds that we flew into.
With the smaller airplanes, it was quite something. So finally, the shuttle takes us, and we're at the Port Rafina, the other side of Athens. So we stayed at a place. It's windy, and at this point, I'm like, Micah, I don't want to be outside in the wind. I don't want to be around smoke. I just need to eat, and I need to eat like a real meal because, you know, it's like I would love feta cheese and the Greek salad that we've had already. I just can't handle it anymore. It's like 1 month. Like I miss greens. I miss this. I miss it. But this time, you know, your things are starting to kick in. Like I can't wait till we go home. And so we stayed there 8. I was like, okay, so we finally chill, relax. We get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow morning, it's nice breakfast, and we have a one relaxing, chill day. We check out, and then we just stay at the airport 8 hours till we fly out. So
of course we don't have a chill, relaxed day. We relax. We don't sit in the airport. We don't do anything because this guy just wants to find the last 2 places that we
so
find.
that's not what happened. So then, the plan was to really, truly relax.
Sure, I'll believe it when I see that.
So we make up, we eat. So suddenly I'm like, well, you know, we can. I was like, okay, we had a beautiful prayer.
We had 8 hours before the flight. We had 8
hours.
We could stay in the hotel, or we could figure out what we're going to do.
We said, or stay at the hotel or stay at the airport. So we had a beautiful meal, very beautiful breakfast. We're like, okay, we just stay at the hotel.
And meanwhile, there was 30-mile-an-hour winds there that made her feel like she didn't want to stay outside by the beach.
I just didn't want to stay anyway because the wind is just insane. So then suddenly,
we both think of renting a car from the airport, and we're like, wow, we have a free shuttle to the airport. I got to the port to look for rentals, couldn't find any. Come back, the shuttle's getting ready to leave, filled. Honey's down. I said, can we get the shuttle? I was like, go get it. She grabs my bag, jump into the shuttle. The driver didn't have nothing with me because I had to sit between the stick shift and the passenger. The lady at the desk had no choice because we each had a shuttle. Rush off to the airport. He gets us there.
And guess what? Because we found where the hotel was, 20 minutes from there, was the temple of Artemis. I'm like, are you kidding me?
But tell me about the car when we got there.
What?
The car, when we get to the airport, was this royal blue Archangel Michael. And we were like looking at it. It was the nicest car.
We had the whole time. It
was so smooth. And we're like, this is only for 21 euro, the most inexpensive car out of all the left, to give us our last final journey, adventure, mission that like literally was there for us as our little, you know, expedition. So we took a little video that's on there. We run off, and then we're like, oh my God, why wait
8 hours at the airport or hotel where we could get to the Artemis. Oh my God, Artemis had come to me 2 years ago in Greece for 1010, had made contact with her. I was like, we've got to get to Artemis. For those of you that don't know, she was the goddess of the protectors of the animals. So, and we knew it's so close that we had to get there. So of course, Michael and I excited. We're like, forget rest. We rest back in America. We jump in the car, back again. So off we go, and we get to the Artemis temple. And I kid you not, right? As we go, the very first thing, there's this baby turtle that greets. So we walk in and you can feel the exciting energy of this sacred temple, where again a lot of the ceremonies were done, and we're just excited, ecstatic. Artemis's energies with us. And while we find this out, we find out there's also the sanctuary of the Egyptian gods, only
20 minutes the opposite
the
direction.
opposite
So we
direction.
have to go 20
So we
minutes
still
back to our
have 4
place,
more hours.
20 minutes to the north to find this Egyptian
So we had
goddess
just
sanctuary.
enough little bit of we didn't have to go to Egypt. Egypt just came to us, and at the last spot. So then put it back in Maps. I'm like, Michael, we got this. Again, we're hungry. We're thirsty. Middle of the billboard, tired, exhausted. We're like, no problem. So we get back in the car, drive all the way the other way, try to teamwork together. And so I'm going to show you. And then this next part, the sanctuary of the Egyptian gods was in the middle of, I mean, like nowhere. It's all residential. There's only one guard.
And the ruins were like rocks. They were just like piles of rocks. It was one of the ruins that.
So we get in there. It's in front of this beach, and there you go. You go in, and it was the ancient bathhouses for the gods and the goddesses. We're like, oh my goddess. So we do our last, but only one guard there. We're able to do what we have to do. And I kid you not, the black cat goddess, she comes, and I know this is Bastet. Where is she? Bastet shows up. She stays with us, and there's this exhilarating water in the front. We felt like this one was so for us. And we went to celebrate, then to eat. We completed it. That again wasn't part of the plan, but we did what we needed to do. Again, everything was about Bastet. She's become very strong in my field as a guardian now. So we did our part. We felt so completed. We said we'll upload everything later. Then we went to eat a nice meal, head to the airport. So we did that, and on the way to the airport was a bit of challenging because we had to put gas in the car. So we like, let's not take the toll road. We go put gas in the car. We filled the gas. As we go, Michael's like, there's no gas. There's no gas. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, there was less gas. I'm like, what do you mean? And I thought maybe because he's tired again, he's dizzy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So as we go closer, we're like, oh my God, like the gas is not in there. What the hell just happened?
You got hustled.
We got hustled, basically. So we had to find another gas station, put gas, get back to the car rental to get to the security gate. So as we drop it, the car rental guy, this angel, we told them about it. So he just sort of like let us go. And we go check our bag, and we go, and that's the video you see. We get to the passport control. And this was just the cherry on the cake. We get to the passport control. There's not many people there. We get to the guy. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to miss your Greece. We're going to miss the tomato and cucumber and feta cheese. And he just lights up. We love Greece.
He goes, oh, do you want to see something? He opens a drawer. He pulls out this apple out of nowhere. He takes a knife out like Crocodile Dundee, starts carving the apple, sticks the apple with a knife, and right where you place your hand to give the passport, he goes, try this. We're like in awe, being like,
He's like, it's from my village. You have to try it. And there here's this passport control with his knife. I mean, I kid you not.
I mean,
It melted our hearts. He's like, listen, next time you come, I make you chicken masala.
we didn't tell
You've
them we're
never had
vegetarians.
before.
He's
We're like,
he's like,
okay.
we have.
I take you to my village. You love food. You
Like, if you want to buy a
appreciate my
house, I'll show you
culture.
some land to buy some house outside Athens, real cheap. I'll connect. His boss comes by looking at us because we're laughing. He gets real quiet, and he's like, "Don't worry, he likes me." I'm like, "Obviously, he likes you."
And
He's
there's
the
a full video of the full
he's like the
experience of
nicest
that.
passport. We've gone through London where they've told us not to smile, to take your phones away. We've been through passport controls where it feels like you're in a military camp. We've been through the worst passport. This guy was like this shiny, smiling Santa Claus from heaven that was literally just welcoming us. And we're like,
It
wow.
was awesome. It really made our day, like the way we, and again, this is part of like, we're both very adventurous. We don't settle for anything. If something doesn't feel right, we change it around. And this has been part of our planetary work. So anyway, we got to Ireland, everything's smooth. We had only a few hours. And all I kept telling Michael, I was like, we're going to sleep in our own bed soon. We're sleeping in our own bed. And we had a very smooth ride back. Everything was great. Michael's mom picks us up. The feeling of landing in America. I can never say enough of how grateful I am when I land in America and it's clean, it's organized, there's no smoke. Oh my gosh, I'm so, and there's space and there's not as much chaos. I couldn't have been more grateful landing in. So we landed. Michael's mom picked us up. Michael's mom took us to dinner. Michael's mom bought us groceries. I mean,
angelic.
Total angel, and my mom brought us food. My mom, we couldn't have been more blessed by our mothers. And we got here and before this, and Monday I had my little surgery here. And Monday I wake up to the news. Michael had spent the night at his mom that our dear beloved sister Cher Lyn had transitioned to spirit side. And just in that moment, as I learned the news, and I was like, the shock and disbelief that she had transitioned, I see these things in the video you see falling from the sky. And I'm just tearing. And I grab the video and there are these things falling. It looks like snowflakes, but they're feathers and there's nothing around. And I run downstairs, I grab all the feathers, and I knew that was Cheryl communicating. So the last few days been communication with her, which has been so beautiful. Just her gloriousness and her mystic art medicine, which let me just bring here for just a moment because I feel it's so important to honor Cher Lyn and this was her art. This one particularly was the one that made the biggest impact in my life 10 years ago when I started, no, 8 years ago when I started my planetary work in Sedona. The very first work was in Sedona, and it was this painting that connected me. I needed confirmation. I hadn't lost my mind, like I'm following this Arcturian Golden Council, and I came across this that communicated everything else. And it took me 8 years to thank Cheryl and finally had. And anyway, so she's with us now as a spirit guide, but it was so shocking. And then on Wednesday, Michael's friend transitions into spirit side.
After she was in remission. And then, we just learned real quickly of,
coming back,
lots of transformation.
Yeah. So coming back, we both experienced this week of death of two of our friends transition to spirit side. The surgery I had, I knew there's just things that are moving, and I really felt October 31st, this October really, as the post I made, is the end of all death and destruction within ourselves, within all that we have created that have been destroying ourselves, our unity, our harmony, our love, our peace, our everything is like coming to its end. So we entered this gateway of November, coming to December. We have 2 months left out of this entire decade of ascension. And there's so many of us had our major awakening in 2012, and now we're getting ready for 2020 frequency, anchoring it. So Michael and I have 3 major events, one for 11/11, not this Monday, next Monday. Then we have our 12/21, and then we have our New Year's Eve event. So these are all in person, very profound. But the 12/21 is the final last light transmission activation of the crystalline diamond codes that is done in a group. And also for those that haven't had their private session, I basically don't have any more space. I'm guided not to do any more transmissions into 2020. Whoever needed it has had it, but they want to do the group, they can. And so you can email me for that. And just to complete this entire decade that's ending. So there's an exciting energy. I know we came back with everything we experienced. We're going to pull it into 11/11. Just, I know you're tired, but let's just pull. No, I know we knew it was going to be like this. So 11/11, this gave is very significant because we are called, I received to anchor the golden silver ray of light. This one is again very specific into the rise of the sacred divine feminine. On that day is very important and globally by silver, and the silver is going against the cable. There's a lot around this that is controlling the financial system. So we are blasting it, and we're going to do a very sacred gathering for that here. I can't get into details of it, but we're working with the gold and silver ray of life for the global ascension. And much is taking place. It's exciting. It's exhilarating. And Cher Lyn is on spirit side. She's doing her work with her mystic art on the other end with us. And we're so grateful to be back in the US. We're so grateful for all also the things that have been guided to us to bring forward. And Michael, I know you're tired. We're going to eat in a second. Just, you came back, you were charged ready because you know I'm called to do this, this, and this. Do you want to just speak with that for just a second?
Yeah, I feel that one that's been absolutely amazing is this is one of our trips that exactly as exhausting as it was, as tiring it was, it gave us the opportunity to come back refreshed, charged. And so in this November, I really feel called to serve at a very high level from not only what I've been doing, but to go online and to really share a lot of the gifts that have been coming forward through me on the shamanic journey in areas that can help support people anchoring their light, as well as what I've also recognized is expanding the places that we are serving right now. We're working on a international level so that not only the places that we are working with, nationally, but internationally, as we expand our light to new communities, to new centers, to areas that we can really fortify and strengthen what's been moved through, and to also go into what I've seen over and over, to go directly into the transmissions that have been given to us for the past 3 years, to use this month to really tackle all of them so that we can get our book through and we can allow ourselves
the transcription,
the transcriptions of all
of
the
channeling of the
that
masters
that has allowed that, and just to really integrate the energies that we've received so that we can fully ignite them in this last 2 months of the decade, so that as we arise within 220 in the full union in our divinity,
in the divine union,
that we can share at our fullest effect. So I feel that energy has been building. Obviously, this past week has been a week of integrating, of jet lag and just getting back to the States, but also feeling very, very charged to expand what has been moving through me within the healings that keep growing larger
and I
and
feel
larger.
part of it, Michael, has been like to instead of in-person sessions, seeing Michael a lot more on Skype to help. Really, I feel one of the things that you share, a lot more of the shamanic journeying, helping people in that space, and assisting on Skype in their heart listening. So that way people can help free themselves. So those are some of the ways, because a lot of people want to see Michael and they always think it has to be in person, but it's totally available on Skype.
Because we know that there's no long distance healing. All the energy can be felt and radiated toward. And there's been so much that we've been experienced. There's so much that's been moving through both of us. So it's a gift to share that in a way that it can be united wherever any individual is. But we will be going to places from Miami in December, South Carolina in November. I will be doing a full day of healing tomorrow in Woodbridge. And we just have a lot of exciting events that are coming forward. And it's just one of our first trips for coming back where I feel charged.
Yeah.
Honey is very healthy compared to last year. And we have a lot going on, which we can keep expanding. And what I really see, anchoring the light, radiating it outward in preparation for this powerful new year.
Totally. So that's part of my call. And mine is going to be a lot more like as I wrap up all the light transmission appointments that are set up, light activation with the Crystalline Diamond Codes, activating that, and also the group from here going into just a lot of art. I got to finish up the art. And some of those people that they wanted the sacred divine feminine, sacred divine masculine, I'm creating a lot of these arts through these stones that we brought back. So they're programmed and all of that, then they will be available through Love Blessed Gift Offering. And then the other part is there are these goddess kaftans that are custom made for each person. I'll show some of the pictures of, I'll be diving finally into that in that level that has to be brought, because those are all my creations. That's very important. And I'll start the light language class in January, New Year. So there's a lot coming up that we'll be covering. So we just wanted to share that. And if you're in a community, that you're part of a community and you want us to come serve your community, please contact us, because we're looking for new communities, or put us in touch with others that have their community. And we like working with people like in their private home, in like they have a space where we can serve. So it's outside some of these other energies. So we can really bring that which we can into your setting. So get in touch with us for sure.
Because we know that we are called to keep expanding this light to higher levels of frequency. Angela, I would highly recommend emailing honeybee1111@gmail.com. She can give you all the information about the stones. And it's been a phenomenal past several weeks. So we're catching up a little.
We're just so happy to be home.
And
we're so happy to be home. So we got to do this because I got to go pick up my son.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and pick one card from Cher Lyn.
Okay, go for it.
So close your eyes. Let us see what Cher Lyn has for us today, my dear, sacred, divine, delicious sister, on this All Saints Day. I'm getting all the chills as you are here with us. Oh my goodness, am I receiving you? What from your mystic art medicine would you like to share with us in your group, my dear, beautiful sister? Dream time. Take this in. Take this in. Michael, hold it in for a second and let me share what this has to say for us. Dream time. Aboriginal dream time. Dream into your world with a song. Awaken your heart's vibration. You do belong. Cosmic stars shining from above. The earth's held in balance. The earth's held in love. The Aboriginal sends his sounds through the didgeridoo into the earth, me and you, Cher Lyn. Aboriginal people believe the true source of the mind is in the inspirational reality of the dream time. In this painting of Aboriginal dream, the Aboriginal's body is ceremonially decorated. He holds the didgeridoo connecting earth and the sky through vibration. He sends energy into earth, symbolizing the integration of the light into matter. Healing happens through the ancestors' love, all working together with the goddess of creation to help bring us back into harmony. The Aboriginal Dreamtime medicine is in the earth's heart and spirals, rocks and ocean, cosmic universe, and the sky. Maybe I use my didgeridoo around this in honor of Cher Lyn. It is important to take notice of your dreams. There lies within hidden messages. Beginning a dream journal is a great way to start. Recording your dreams, show respect, bring awareness to the prophetic and lucid dreaming. It is a proven way to find deeper meaning in the symbols. Okay, so there are a couple of more I'll post this, but here it says, choosing this medicine card suggests you follow the Aboriginal into the dream time and exploring the other world mysteries unfolding for you. The power to dream is the power to participate in the creation matrix that is only found within you. Hidden messages from the ancient times cross over through and onto your past, present, future time continuum. Awaken in your dream time wisdom. Create and play infinite potential. Thank you, Cher Lyn.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'll take a picture of it and send this. Sorry, we're rushing because I got to go pick up my son.
And then for the angelic message for today, closing your eyes, placing your hands directly over your heart, and listening deep within. The message for today, day number 305, make it a good one. When you first begin working on a new goal, the end can seem a long way off. We angels want to remind you that every important journey begins with the first step, which in many ways sets the tone for the entire trip. So make it a good one. Take that initial action with enthusiasm and a high regard for yourself. Put your entire focus and energy into your path before you. Stay positive about the outcome without investing any fear into your vision of the future. You'll soon enjoy the steps along the way as though they were a fun game that you play with yourself. Your progress is amazing when you make each part of the process count. Thought for today. Repeat after me. I fully focus on one step at a time.
I fully focus on one step at a time.
Along the path of my dreams.
Along the path of my dreams.
I release any cares, concerns, or worries.
I release any cares, concerns, or worries.
To God and the angels.
To God and the angels.
I enjoy putting my desires into action.
I enjoy putting my desires into action.
And I'm glad at what I do.
And I am glad at what I do.
And so it is.
And so it is. Perfect. So, Michael, thank you for being patient as we went through this. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Angela, Sunshine Light, Demetris, Valerie, Charles. Thank you so much for being with us. It was so wonderful. All week we wanted to wrap this up about what took place, but we just didn't have enough energy to get through it and all kinds of life experiences. So we completed it. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you so much. And of course on Facebook, thank you so much, so much.
Happy 11/11.
Exactly. And happy first day of the month. And remember, the entire month is a gateway. It's going to be incredible. Make it a best one. Love to you all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. You knew it. I mean,